Subscribe to see what's next. It's Clip City Connect.
YouTube. What is the deal? It is your boy TJ Anderson, and I'm logging in to bring you guys another Clutch City Connect special. And speaking of the word special, I have a very special guest, and it's always the tradition once again to not introduce myself. Coach Justice, you got the floor.
Hi, I'm Ravon Justice. I'm the head coach at Sam Houston State University. Previously, I was a head coach at Prairie View A&M University. Before that, I was an assistant coach at the University of Houston. Prior to Houston, I was the assistant coach at Houston Baptist University. So I spent most of my collegiate coaching career in Texas. So TJ, thanks for having me today.
And thank you for coming on once again. I'm probably gonna tell you that throughout the whole entire episode. But hey, if you ready, Coach Justice, I'm ready to get into it.
I'm ready.
All right. So first things first, I want to get into the first segment of this episode. I want to talk a little bit about your background and your journey, right?
Mhm.
So this is my first question for you. How did you get started in coaching, and what inspired you to pursue this path?
To be honest with you, I was not going to be a coach. That wasn't something I desired. When I was in college, after playing basketball, I was like, I'm going into the law field. I'm going to be a judge. So that's the first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to be a judge. End up shadowing a judge for like a week, and I was like, I don't know, this is a little different than what I thought it was going to be. Like when you hit that gavel and give somebody some time, like that was totally different. And so my JUCO coach, Wade Scott, was like, "Hey, come work for me. I think you'll be a great coach." I was like, "I don't know about all that." And so I went to Grayson County College. I was assistant coach for him. I just strictly focused on development at that time, player development and recruiting, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the development piece, and so that's how I got my coaching start. That's what inspired me to be a coach. My first season at Grayson County College, but at first, I thought I was going to be in law enforcement.
I mean, I know a lot of people like that. I'm in law enforcement right now, so uh, I'm actually a prison officer down here in this area. I want to say, kind of to go off a tangent a little bit, you coached at U of H, correct?
Yes,
I believe you coached my high school classmate, Jessica Palmer.
I sure did. I
Yeah,
sure did.
yeah.
JP. Oh,
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
I give her a hard
JP was
time.
cold.
JP was cold. I actually signed JP, and I call her Jessica because her name is spelled Jessieka. So I give her a hard time and I call her Jessica. But actually signed Jess. Jess was one of those players that was a generational player. I think the thing that people didn't realize about Jess coming out of high school is she's probably one of the most unselfish basketball players I had ever coached. She was a better passer probably than a scorer. And so I never forget going down to Lamarck, and I was like, this got to be the only school that has a swimming pool with no swim team. And she used to die laughing every time I would say that. And I'm like, I'm for real. And so I spent a lot of time with Thyra, her sister, Philip. Philip was a great cook back
Mm,
then.
it still
Um,
is.
Reese, her sister. So I spent a lot of time with the Palmer family. So having just come in as a freshman and watching her grow a couple of years was pretty cool.
Absolutely. That's my ex Boone Coon right there. I can't lie to you. She's one of the ones. She's on me too. Whenever she see me, we ain't gonna get into it, but you know, I think she takes a lot in from you. Especially as far as following the path, because she was a head coach at Lamarck and now she's at Dickinson. So, I'm very proud of what she's accomplished. And gotta say, I think you were one of those factors for her as far as her growing into what she is now. She's a phenomenal coach. She's
Yes, she
a
is.
phenomenal person. Um, so I kind of want to segue back into the topic, right? So my next question for you is, what was your playing career like, and how has it shaped the way you coach today?
My playing career, it was a little untraditional. Out of high school, I signed with Nickel State, played there, went to Clarendon College. Loved my JUCO experience. I tell anybody, I had a great JUCO experience. I hate when people say D1 a bus, because I had a phenomenal time at JUCO. It taught me a lot of things after coming from Division 1, dropping down to JUCO, about being more appreciative of that round ball. Went to Washington State, finished up there. I mean, I finished up my degree at the University of Science of Arts, Oklahoma. So it was very untraditional. The things that I learned from my playing career was that nobody was bigger than the program. And so, I think sometimes athletes think in their little bubble that they're the best, and that's what it is. And when you have the opportunity to play against other strong athletes, you realize, hey, nobody's bigger than the program. The work is the work. You got to put it in the work to be successful. So, that was my playing career, and it shaped me to be just competitive. I was never just gonna lay down, so it made me very competitive.
Never can lay down. Because when it come down to it, when you're coaching, it's just something about that having that fierceness and that competitiveness to win. Like I seen a picture you took with Kobe, right? And I was like, oh
Yes.
yeah, oh yeah, that's where it come from right there. That's exactly where it come from. So now that I seen that picture, I know everything I need to know. So okay, so now that we're done with that part of the question, I want to now go into your coaching philosophy, right? So my question for you is, what is your core coaching philosophy at Sam Houston?
Our core is win a day. That's what we talk about. As far as philosophy, we're a defensive led organization, but we talk about winning a day every day. And we're not talking about just basketball. We're talking about in life. Because we don't think that you can win on the court if you're not winning in life. And what we mean by that is just having a mindset of winning. You don't just show up and win. It has to be a mindset. So anything you see, if you walk into our locker room, it's going to say win a day. Anything on any presentation we give is going to be win a day. And we want to teach our student athletes to win a moment. Like, hey, when you wake up in the morning, hey, brush your teeth really good so you ain't got to go to the dentist. You know what I'm saying? You go to class, hey, just like you want to be there. So we want to create a mindset that it's not just successful on the court, but off the court. As far as, like, everybody talk about basketball philosophy. My basketball philosophy is culture. Like, I don't think, any program has been really good or have reached all their goals without a great culture. So, anytime you talk to any former players of mine, the staff, that's what they're going to harp on: winning the day, culture, and just understanding, like, it's a mindset. You just can't show up and say, I want to win. Everybody want to win. People don't get fired because they want to win. They
Right,
get fired because they don't win. So, yeah.
right. Love it, love it, love it, love it, man. That sounds a lot like me and how I go through. I mean, it's just like going through life, right? You want to win a day. You like you say, you brush your teeth, especially because you don't want to have hot breath and be in somebody's
There it
face
is. There
and
it
have them
is.
pass out from your breath stinking. So it's levels to it when you really think about that, having that type of philosophy. I love it. I absolutely love it. Especially when you're working with kids, especially on the grassroots level, that don't know how to play and don't really know how to play organized basketball. You want to win the day by showing them how to play, making sure they're learning the fundamentals of the game, making sure they understand. Um, so I love that, Coach Justice. So, uh, my next question for you: how do you balance skill development, toughness, and building character in your players?
Whew, that's a tough one. There used to be a time where your program, you were inheriting kids or you were retaining kids. Now, with the different landscape of college athletics, you're getting a great mixture of both, from the transfer portal, some kids that you retain, and new kids. So, with skill development, the first thing that we want to do is break habits. If there's any bad habits that they're coming in with, those are something that we want to do. As far as character, is just accountability every day. You know what I'm saying? Not thinking that you can give me a 80% on this day, 90 on that day, back to 30 on the next day. So that accountability is big, and that also helps us in skill development. Um, and what was your other one?
Um, let's see. Tough building toughness and character in your players.
We're gonna be the toughest team. We don't. That's no question. And it's not like we tell people, it's not the physical part of the toughness. We're gonna be mentally tough. And I tell anybody like when you're going into player development, when you're talking about toughness, there's always a goal set. We ain't just going in there doing skill workouts. There's always a goal set, but there's always accountability. So if you have great character, you're mentally tough, you're going to get better. So you're going to become a better basketball player. So that's how we knock out those three at Sam Houston State.
Nice. So, like I say, well, my thing is I want to kind of piggyback off of what you said, that building that toughness. Number one is going to be instilled. If you come in here, it's going to be instilled. And the building character portion. I think it kind of goes along with building when you have these players, you're not just building them to be basketball players, but you're building them to be better people, to be role models of the world, because that's what we're missing nowadays. And I have to give a big shout out to you, and like I told Coach Fernandez, shout out to him at Texas Tech. Not a lot of people want to work with girls when it comes to
Mhm.
basketball. A lot of them just will shut it down. I don't care if I'm coaching girls or boys when it comes to AAU. I get the pleasure of being able to show these kids how to play the game, but also teach them to be better people is what I aspire to do always. Because this generation is just that's coming up is the YN culture and whatnot is just very diminishing. But I think a lot of kids are just looking for someone who can just show them that way and give them that tunnel vision to success. So big shout out to you, Coach Justice.
Thank you.
Uh, so next segment I want to talk about is your current role at Sam Houston, right?
Mhm.
So my first question for you is, what does your day to day look like as a head coach at Sam Houston?
Whew. I wake up at 5:30. I do my devotion at that time. I have strong faith. I don't hide from it. So I get up around 5:30, go through my devotional, take me a little walk. After that, I'm in the office by 8 o'clock. But I'll start texting players at 7 o'clock. Just hey, how your day going? How's classes going? We have individual workouts in the morning due to our gym structure. So, we have a group in the morning. They probably don't like being that first group because it's always like a 7 a.m. group. So we have our 7 a.m. group. We come back for our coaches meeting around 8:30. We go in, we're meeting probably about over an hour, just talking about academics, individual workouts, recruiting, day-to-day things that need to happen in that day. After that, we probably have another group right before lunch. Then we have we eat together at lunch. So all of us go eat together at lunch. After that, we have another group. So after that, we go in, we look at the stats from practice. We talk about players. One of my coaches makes sure that we reach out to somebody on our team every day. It's just part of our daily check-in. So around 3:30, I'm trying to figure out, hey, did we accomplish a day? Did we win a day? Did we leave anything left that we need to take care of? About 4 o'clock, I meet with my support staff, making sure there was no injuries at the end of the day. Making sure recruiting if we're going out on the road. Hey, where the schedule's at. Any recruiting calls. 5 o'clock, I go out down and I meet with my head trainer just for the report for tomorrow. Around 5:15, I finish up with my staff, so I get out the office right around 6:15.
Talking about a long day full of itinerary.
It
Definitely
is.
something that I think. You know how some of these guys be doing like the vlogs where they'll show what coaches do. Maybe we could set something up like that one day.
Yeah, I think people
Uh,
think we just go in that office, put our feet up on the desk, go scream at practice a little bit, come back, drink a little water, take our whistle off, prop them feet up again. I wish it was like that. But my biggest thing is it's pretty much what you said. We want to make sure that our girls are well rounded. So we spend a lot of time with them off the court. You know what I'm saying? Like fun day, we have basketball class, but that's always a day too that we spend for team bonding, and we let them create the team bonding. Right now, we're creating it because they're all new, but They pick that day for us to do something that the team wants to do and not the coaches. So we don't have the luxury of just like, hey, like we had practice, it's cool, let's get to the next thing. Our day is full, it's stacked. It is
I would
stacked.
I would definitely love to come up there and actually see that because like I say, the thing is most people don't understand when you get to this level of college, um, that there's levels to it, right?
Hmm.
And you have to be not just on your P's and Q's, but there are things to accomplish within a day for a head coach. And I can only imagine, like, just not even just with the head coach, but with the assistants or whatnot. You guys are recruiting, you guys are going over film, you guys are going over game plan, especially during the season. You're going over game plan, X's and O's, defensive assignments. I mean, it's a lot, and most people think that it's something that's easy, and and it's not. You know, you have to be able to manage all of these things all at once, all at the same time. So that's just what it is, guys. Best believe Coach Justice is a very busy person, and but all these coaches are. So you guys have to give every single one of these coaches the respect when it comes to it because they're not just slacking; they're actually putting in work to ensure that their team is the best they can be. So, Coach Justice, my next question for you: how are you building the culture and identity for this program?
I've been at Sam 8 years, so we've changed conferences a couple of times. We've been in the Southland, the WAC, not Conference USA. So our identity definitely want to be a top three, top four team in Conference USA. But our identity as a team is tough. Anybody tell you we want to be the toughest team on the floor. Our culture is we want every girl to come in, be able to be themselves, have success on and off the floor, but have a sisterhood when they leave and just have a good college experience. I think some people don't understand like a good college experience is they're pretty much advocating for your program when they leave. Like they're your biggest recruiters. Um, I've had some young ladies that's followed me to Sam Houston. Lachey Haynes was with me at Prairie View and came with me to Sam Houston. And it wasn't, I'm probably not the best coach, but definitely gave her a good college experience and helped her on and off the floor. So it gave her that security to know, hey, we did these things at Prairie View, we can also do at Sam Houston State. So that's our identity. As far as Sam Houston State is first. Like I keep telling you, culture. I want a really good culture where you always feel like you're at home. Success on and off the floor. But as far as identity, when we hit the floor, it's definitely gonna be toughness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have to say, you know, to kind of go off of what you said, with you might not be the best coach. I think you're a phenomenal coach.
Thank you.
You pour into your kids. I mean, like I said, I've been following basketball for a long time, especially when you were at U of H. I used to watch some of Jess's highlights, and I think just seeing you on the sideline, just seeing you coach those girls up and get them ready to go, and no matter if it was a W or a L, it's certain things that you can't teach someone. It's that saying, it's on them and it's in them, and you definitely have it on you and in you. Um, Especially what you're doing at Sam Houston. You're teaching these girls up, and uh, you got a lot of kids down here that would love to go to Sam Houston. So I'm gonna throw a little bug in your ear, but you definitely have one that's trying to get the from down there. So, Coach Justice, my next question for you is, what should Sam Houston fans be excited about for this upcoming season?
I think that, we ended on a really good note, went to the WNIT, finished tied for third in conference. But I think what they'll be excited about, this year, is some of the kids that we have come in, they're already buying in, already excited about being there. And I tell people all the time, sometimes you got to go where you want it. And once you go where you want it, it brings a different type of excitement about the season, about the place, about the team. And so I think, as far as, What is our team going to look like this year? I wish I can tell you. Every coach wish they can tell you.
Right.
But we have a lot of new faces. But what you're going to be excited about is definitely going to be the work ethic that you're going to see when we play. I think these kids are working hard. They're definitely buying in. There's a excitement about just having fun on the floor right now.
That's just what it is. That's what it's about. As long as the kids are working hard and having a good time, I think that's something that Sam Houston fans should look forward to. Uh, I say it's June, it's early to tell. You're instilling a lot right now. So the full product won't be available until the season starts. But I guarantee you, Sam Houston fans, once the season starts, you're going to see something phenomenal on the court. Um, so next, I want to go into my next segment, which is player development and recruiting.
Hmm.
Like I said, I gotta put a little bug in here after the episode is over with. But so my first question for you is, what do you look for when evaluating talent at the high school and AAU level?
Character first. Um, we want to recruit kids that really love basketball and that don't love the internet. Because now not just with the NIL piece, but definitely with the type of status that basketball can get you on the internet. It gives those kids a different type of motivation, but we want that motivation to be for the love of the game. So character first, work ethic second, and kids that can compete at a high level. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that we look for. We talk about, X's and O's and the Jimmys and the Joes, but if they ain't got the heart or want to compete, it doesn't matter. So those are the things we talk about. As far as like AAU players, we understand that you're playing with a different team, but we still want to see, can you be a good teammate? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? When you it's kind of like college. When you take a kid out of their natural setting and put them around other players, you know what I'm saying? Are they a good teammate? You know what I'm saying? Can they compete at a high level? So those are kind of the things that we look at, as far as what we're evaluating when we're on the road. And as far as skill development, do they fit us? You know what I'm saying? Every coach has a system. So, we're a quick pace team. We defend heavily on our defense to be successful. So do they fit us? Do they fit our style? And so those are the things that we look for.
Hey, so for all my viewers and my listeners who are looking for a way to get looked at from Sam Houston State, the head coach has just told you what she's looking for. So ensure that you bring it on the court. You have an awesome character, and your work ethic is to the roof
To
and
the
not
roof.
down to the ground. Uh, because and I think I'm gonna kind of go off of what you said. I think all college coaches are really looking for that. Especially, I think the one thing is the character, right? And living through the internet because man, Coach Justice, I could tell you, I see kids all the time. They post their whole life on social media. They post all their business, and then the one thing that I'm seeing, especially in the basketball space, is kids are like making these graphics on. Oh, I'm transferring from Dickinson to uh, Austin Prep. And it's like I've never seen this type of behavior before. Now I get it, Austin Prep or Oak Hill, I get that. Or I'll use a better example, going from Dickinson to Texas City, right?
Mhm.
They're posting these stylistic graphics, and I'm like,
Who cares?
right, right. I can see if you were going to like an actual like
Hmm.
Oak Hill, Austin Prep, all those like you know high powered prep schools, right? But to go from one little small school to another little small school, and you posting it and you only score 5 points a game, and it's just, I don't know, these kids are very different from my time. And so I don't know, I just think that goes with role models, something that we talked about earlier. I think kids are looking for role models, and I think that this is something that's essential for the culture. Uh, so, Coach Justice. My next question for you is: can you share a story of a player who really transformed under your guidance?
If I had to name one player, I think, like I told you, I think Lachey Haynes was, you know, um, one of those impressionable kids on me due to the fact that she decided to come with me from Prairie View to Sam. Had a great basketball career, ended up getting her master's. But a kid that transferred up, I mean, that probably transitioned the most up under me on off the floor was Lydia Baxter. I inherited Lydia when I became the coach at Sam Houston State, and I only had her for 1 year. And I remember walking on campus and everybody's telling me, man, it's gonna be the first kid you get rid of, and this kid's gonna cause you so many headaches, and it was all of that, and I never played into it because I'm from a small town. I'm from Atlanta, Texas, and my mom always taught us like, hey, I don't care if it's the janitor, the president, you treat everybody with the same respect until somebody give you a reason not to. And so when I met her, I was like, man, I really like this kid. Like, am I the problem? Since everybody, and so, she was open about, hey, I've been suspended a couple of times. I've had this, I've had that. And um, I didn't have one problem with her. She'd never been suspended for me. She was never late for me. And I never forget when she graduated, we sat down and she said, Coach, I think this has probably been the most impactful part of my college experience. Somebody coming in and just see me as a person. And so from that day forward, whether a kid stays with me for 4 years, whether they say, hey, this isn't a good fit, my job is just to give them the best version of myself every day. And so, I definitely, think that, not only do we have a great bond to this day, but as a coach, it taught me valuable lessons of being fair. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be, it's gonna be a little gray area sometimes.
Right.
And it's okay. It's okay for me to lead in a different way rather than how somebody else want me to lead. And what I mean by that is like, if I would listen to all the naysayers from, coaches that was before me or coaches that knew her before me, I would have lost out on a great player, but an unbelievable person. So
That is awesome, and it's awesome because you can pour into these kids, right? And I have my fair share of stories as well, kind of like that. Uh, Different coaches just saying, "Man, this kid is a problem kid. I don't want to work with him." I work with them. They don't give me the problem that they were giving you, but that goes to show sometimes you don't know somebody's history with someone.
mhm.
It could have been something that was done that made that relationship tainted. Um, I'm all for building relationships and long lasting relationships with everyone that I come across because I believe, just as you do, that there's a reason why God puts people in front of you. And it could just be for a season, but even for that season, I'm going to make the best of what I can with you. And, just you showing her the best version of you made her the best version of herself. So, kudos to you for sure, for sure. Um, so my next question for you, how has the transfer portal and NIL change recruiting and roster building at the conference level?
Whew. I think every coach says different. Um, what the portal has done for like mid majors is definitely giving us an opportunity to show if we can develop kids or not. Because if you can develop a kid, the P4 is knocking down the door the next year taking a kid. NLI, it's made some things transactional. Some players are upfront, like, hey, yeah, I want this. Can you give me this? But for I think for our conference, it's just made it more competitive. And what I mean by that is you used to can get kids off facilities and off some other things, tradition. that you probably can think of two schools right now that's had a winning tradition, had the greatest facilities, and kids love that about it. But NIL and transfer portal has given everybody a different competitiveness that changes your roster because you either recruiting them to get better or you recruiting them to advance your program. And what I mean by that is if you were struggling, you want to get better. If you're a really, really good team, you want to advance and get to the next level, what good looks like for you. So I think that's what it's done for our level, a mid-major, and for like Conference USA.
Nice, because when you really take a look at what NIL has done, like I was talking to one coach, this one kid who plays football at Baylor, right? I think this was a big thing. Baylor paid for him to have like 2 or 3 luxury cars, a mansion, and I'm like, when is it too much?
Mhm.
Um, and shout out to him. I mean, I don't know if it was offered or if he asked for it, but regardless, he got it. So you can't really blame him. You got to
Mm-mm.
blame the school. So it just I've seen some very outrageous things that
And
the
it's
NIL.
It's what you said though. Like we can't blame these student athletes. We can't say, "Hey,
Right.
you're the problem." No, we've created a monster, and everybody know once you create that monster gets bigger, badder. It gets hungrier, it gets angry. So I don't think that I've ever been in a situation where I looked at a kid and I'm like, you know what, you selfish for asking for that. I've never done that. I looked at it as like, hey, that's what that kid think their worth is. I would love to go to my boss and say I'm worth this much money and this is what you should give me today. But that's not how the real world works. But you know, um, we're telling these kids to advocate for themselves and fight for their worth. But like you said, when is enough enough? It's never going to be enough. I think it's what we're looking for now is just some mandates to keep the playing fields equal, and that's never going to be a thing either. So my biggest concern is I really want, these student athletes to continue to be educated. That's my only concern with all of this. I just don't want those young ladies to lose their education piece. Every guy I think he's going to go to the NFL and the NBA. That y'all men coaches, y'all sell a lot of dreams to those kids. Those
Of
women
course.
coaches know they got to get a degree to support their family or support themselves. So that's our. I think on the women's side, that is still a big concern for us. Is hey, we got to make sure these kids still get an education because that ball's going to stop bouncing. And when it stop bouncing, what is that young lady going to be able to fall back on? Because, and don't get me wrong, the WNBA now is making some really good salaries. The union
Absolutely.
has done some things for retirement, but it's still never going to be the money that a NBA player, NFL player makes, So we still got to stress, you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to be in the workforce. You're going to be in society. What can you do to be successful and make a nice living for yourself?
Absolutely, and spot on. And I have to say, I'm gonna go off of something that you said. I don't like the fact that now um, that you do have these coaches that sell dreams, right? And I just think that it diminishes a kid when a kid thinks that, okay, I'm going to this situation because it's right for me, right? I'm
Mhm.
gonna get this X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna start. And when they get to school, they're not starting. They hardly get any playing time. They have the red shirt. I just think that being up front would definitely be something that these kids need. They need the hard truth. Um, so I like that you said that. That's something that I've never really talked about before. Um, because of the dream selling. Um, I think that's a little outrageous too. And it's happening even on the AAU level. I mean, you have these coaches. Yeah, you come play for me, and I'll have you being looked at by NBA scouts and college scouts, and they're not being looked at for anything. No college coaches know them. No NBA scouts know them. So it's just something that's I think that's definitely detrimental to kids, especially their psyche. Um, so, Coach Justice, I want to go into some broader topics now, right? So, my first question for you is, what advice? And now, when I ask this question, you're talking to me too.
Okay.
So, what advice would you give to aspiring young coaches or coaches that aren't just as young, like I'm 32, trying to become a head coach?
Do it your way. Like it's so easy. There's probably a coach that you admire that you said, man, when I get a job, I want to be this, that, and I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way. Do it your way. I figured out, when I first became a head coach that I had to do it my way, even though I took bits and pieces from other coaches, but nowhere is going to be better than your way. And I think sometimes, we all get caught up in everybody else's path and how they got there, and um, you know, um, comparing ourselves. And God made us all special in different ways. And so, do it your way. And what I mean by that is if you're a guy that's really passionate and you like coaching with passion, don't shut your passion off just because your mentor or somebody that you really admire doesn't do it that way. And so that's something I learned early on. The other thing I would say is don't dream too small. I hate when people say, man, you got to be realistic with yourself. You do have to be realistic with yourself, but I'd rather dream big than small. Um, and I never forget, when I first got into coaches, like it was robotic of how you got a coaching job, how you got a head job. And, you know, it's like when you go to a Baptist church, it's tradition, right? Everybody know what you're gonna do in a Baptist church. You know what I'm saying? From when you walk through the doors, and it's nothing's traditional anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't have to be the path that your mentor took or a path that somebody's telling you. Um, you don't have to dream small just because you think that fits. The ideal of how you're going to get to your success. So though that's the advice I would give. I didn't I didn't get into coaching because I thought it was going to make me a millionaire. I'm far from it. I didn't get into coaching because I thought I was going to be like, oh, like I wanted to be head coach. I got into it because I really enjoyed it. Like I really love the recruiting piece and development piece when I was given an opportunity. And it felt like I fell in love with like watching young people really, really come out of their shell or really, really start buying into something bigger than themselves. And so I think a lot of that is because I come from a big family. My parents were married for 60 years. I'm the youngest of six. So I never had opportunity to be selfish. So, when I had opportunity to pour into somebody and I saw the rewards of pouring into somebody, that's why I continue with coaching because I love that piece of it.
Nice. I love it. So, guys, understand that in about 6 or 7 years, when you see me on Coach Justice coaching staff, that I got to that point because I'm dreaming big, right? Uh, but that's extremely important, not just for young coaches. I think for all coaches in general, you want to think and dream big, and never let someone talk you out of what you want to accomplish, because all things are accomplishable, especially if you believe in God and Christ, right?
Mhm.
But to kind of go aside from that, but just as long as you believe in yourself, that's really all the motivation you need sometimes. Because, and then another thing too, not everyone needs to know your journey and where you're going. Just as long as they see where you're going, because sometimes you never know. It's the closest people to you that could try to bring you down. So, my next question for you: how has the landscape of college basketball changed in recent years?
It's became grimy a little bit, if we're just being 100% honest. Um, and what I mean by that is when with so much freedom, there's kind of no rules, if that makes sense. And so when coaches used to have teams, you had those kids for 3 and 4 years, and it was just like building that family, building that trust. Now you're getting kids for 1 and 2 years, so that's that's uncharted water. I mean, it's charted water for the last 3 or 4 years, but
Right.
before that, that was uncharted water. And so, like, it's like speed dating. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to get to know you fast. I got to see if it's gonna work. So I think as with that piece, some of the older coaches that love relationship and build a relationship, they kind of had to be, be vulnerable, because that's the best word I can use. Be vulnerable, just because you got to take a chance on them, like they have to take a chance on you. So, um, the other piece is, I think that now that women are getting more exposure from,
Yeah.
TV, internet, you know, um, it's giving them a bigger stage, but it's also giving them a bigger voice. And you just want to make sure that you're listening to the right voice. And what I mean by that is, none of us want to recruit bad character. None of us want to recruit bad people, but we do have to be very careful that we don't get excited about the bling and all of that we're seeing online too. That's drawing us to the wrong things. And the last thing is what we talk about. The culture of programs. When you had a kid for 3 to 4 years, you knew what your culture looked like. When you bring in a kid for like 1 to 2 years, you got to make sure that character is high to maintain the culture of the program.
Absolutely. And well said. Uh, as far as the griminess, that's whew. So
And I know somebody probably never said that, but
I think you're the only person that's actually came on and said that. I mean, I've had some coaches say that the one thing that they've been having to deal with in recent years is like, just with the transfer portal. These kids, they were here one year and then they're gone the next. Um, and some of them have gone on to excuse me, talk about how uh, there's a certain level of trust you have to build with kids very quickly, because one coach said he had one quit on him during the season. So it's a transition of different things when it comes to the landscape of college basketball. And I think it's gonna keep evolving. There's gonna be things that are added to and taken from, and it's not. I don't think it's gonna get any easier. Uh,
no, I don't think it's going to get any easier. I think the one thing that we're going to love is just like everything else we fall in love with is when everybody gets comfortable. We're gonna think this new landscape was great. It was perfect. It's just like I see kids now today, they get excited about some Nikes we wore 20 years ago. When back in the day when we was wearing them, it was J's. So, but it's history repeating itself. So I think once we get comfortable with it, we're gonna fall in love with it, because then we know how to handle it and things like that. And so I don't think no coach is like, man, I dislike this for this. And we know it's never going back to the same. You
right.
know what I'm saying? But we also understand that, everybody has to find success a certain way. So you just want to be able to, control what you can control, um, and just continue to build, those building blocks. But it's hard to build a building when the foundation keeps changing. So I think that's why, everybody just want to, see how the landscape's going to be and be able to function after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, going to the final segment, and it's only two questions. Coach Justin, I could talk all day, but unfortunately, just like a good movie, when it
It got in.
starts, it's got to end, right? So, my first question for you: what's one thing most people don't know about you or your coaching style?
Most people don't know, um, off the court, I'm probably the most childish person in the building, just because I'm so intense on the floor, that they like my family tell you like, they don't take me serious. But um, on the court, I'm so intense. My demands are high, but off the court, like any of my players would be like, this is child's play. Like she just play all day. And so I think that's what you would get. And just to be able to tell you that too, like me and her spent so many times back in the day making vines of shooting drills and stuff like that. That was way back in my day when I was real childish. So I think that is what some people do not know about me.
Gotcha. It's good to have a playful personality, though. You know, you don't want to be serious all the time. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's good to have a playful personality. Oh, last question, and I promise it's a good one, right? If you could give one piece of advice to young players chasing their basketball dreams, what would it be?
The work is the work. Like we've gotten out of um the mindset like of we got to put in the work. Like we got kids now that think the highlight reels, the social media status, the logo on the shirt. Like you probably seen it before, where a kid change AU teams and they think they automatically should be getting recruited. Those things have trumped the work. And so we want to get back to the mindset. The work is the work. Like, you still got to grind. You still got to you got to work on your craft. And if that doesn't change, the success you're trying to reach is unreachable. And so that's the advice I would give them. And they have every avenue to be successful. They can look
Yeah.
all day on TikTok for I call it TikTok when I get mad at my kids. I'll be like, oh, y'all on TikTok, huh? But you know, they can get on TikTok, do drills, you can get on YouTube, do drills. Like
Yes.
they have all this technology to be great. Um, but we use it sometimes for just personal and leisure time rather than a tool to actually become better basketball players or whatever craft we're working on. I tell people all the time, like I'm not a big internet person, but I'm a big podcast. You know what I'm saying? I can't say I want to be a leader and I don't work on my leadership skills. And so, just the work is the work. Like when we come to practice, after we break out and say win a day, I look at my kids, I say the work is the work. You can't cheat the grind. Let's
No.
come in, let's win the drill. So those are some things like, that I think that we got to get back to.
Love it. And I'm sad because this that's it, guys. First and foremost, I want to say, Coach Justice, once again, thank you so much for coming on the Clutch City Connect podcast. It was a pleasure to have you. And for my people out there that's wanting to follow you, keep up with you, and maybe kids who want to send their highlight reels to you, where can they find you at, Coach Justice?
They can find me on all social media platforms. On Instagram is Coach Justice 10. On X is Coach underscore Justice 10. And on TikTok is Coach Justice. So Coach Raven Justice. So reach out. If you have any questions, any follow-up questions, I'm open to answering any questions. Now, if you're not a recruitable athlete, I can't be talking to you. Don't be in that inbox. Besides that, I hope you learn more about Sam Houston State. But more importantly, I hope that we've gained another viewer for women's basketball.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've become the biggest advocate because, like I say, from what I see, I don't think there's too many people out there that really want to cultivate girls basketball, women's basketball, and I think that's something that needs to change. As you stated before, the WNBA has taken a very solid approach and gained more viewers and gained more fans, but it's not where it should be.
Mhm.
Uh, we need to keep on growing, and I think it will as long as we have hard workers who actually cultivate the game, just such as yourself.
Thank
I
you.
think the game is headed to a very bright destination. So
Thank you.
that is it, guys. Once again, from Clutch City Connect, it's your boy TJ
Oh, I
Anderson
was ready,
and
TJ.
Coach and Coach Justice, and we are logging out. Peace.
Peace.
Clutch City Connect. Clutch City Connect. Clutch City Connect. Houston rockin' news, everything you need. You know we keep it in check. Scores, interviews, and player stats. Yo, we keep it in check. Subscribe to see what's next. It's Clutch City Connect.